Well, good morning, church. Thank you for joining us for our daily Devo. Today we're in 1 Kings chapter 18, looking at verses 20 to 39. This is one of the famous passages in the Old Testament. It's the time when the nation of Israel has followed a bad king, Ahab, and he has taken them into worshiping Baal, a false god. And the nation has drifted from God. And God brings Elijah, one of his prophets, to stand for what is right. Ahab is trying to get to Elijah and he can't get him. He wants to take him out. Finally, Elijah lets him know, hey, you want to meet? I'll be there. Bring your prophets of Baal. And at that point, he challenges the king. He challenges the nation. He said, bring all your prophets, bring the nation together. And they're in one spot. And Elijah says, let's throw down a gauntlet. Let's have a challenge. He looks at the people and he asked them, how long will you guys fall between two opinions? If God is God, serve him. But if Baal is God, serve him. They were wanting to have the best of God, the history, what God had done through Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. But at the same time, they didn't want the restrictions. They wanted the freedoms to do what they wanted. They wanted to follow Baal as it offered other things to them. And it kind of reminds me of the passage in Revelation where it talks about the church that he said, God said, I will spew you out of my mouth because you're not hot or cold, you're lukewarm. He said, I'd rather you be hot or cold. Literally, that word lukewarm is only used one time in the Bible. And it doesn't mean a temperature between hot and cold. It means a mixing of hot with cold. Now, when you mix hot and cold, you get lukewarm, but it isn't the temperature, it's the mix that makes it. And that's what they were doing. They were trying to have this part of God, and they were trying to bring Baal worship into it, and they wanted to have both as they would see the best of both worlds. And Elijah was saying, no way, guys. If God is God, follow him. Forsake Baal. If Baal is Baal, then forsake God. But you can only follow one. You can only have one God, one Lord. And so he challenges them. And he says, let's make a sacrifice. Let's put it on an altar. Let's pray that our God, you pray to Baal, I'll pray to God, will bring down a fire and consume it. The one who answers the prayer will know he's the God of Israel. So they took up the challenge. Baal went first. They cut up the offering. They put it on the altar and nothing happens. They pray and they're elaborate and they pray and nothing happens. And if you read the passage, Elijah even has a little fun with him. Finally, when their time's up, Elijah goes, he puts the sacrifice. But before he prays to God, he has them dump water on it. Why? Because he wants them to know there wasn't some spark, there wasn't some accident, that if this is consumed by fire, it will have to be a supernatural effect. And then in just 2 verses, in a very simple prayer, where he just says, God, show yourself to be God. Show yourself to be the God of Abraham, of Isaac, of Jacob. And show that I'm your prophet and answer this prayer. And you know what happens? The fire comes down, it consumes the sacrifice, the wood, the stone, it's gone. The people are amazed. And they have no doubt that God is who they should follow. I remember they turn against the prophets of Baal. They dispatch them and they say, we're going to follow God. I love this passage because Elijah was willing to stand. He was willing to challenge them. And the people were willing to realize we cannot have both things. We have to decide which we will serve. And that day, they decided they would serve God. Guys, I think the challenge for us a lot of times in our life is not that we're getting rid of God. We want to hold on to that, but we kind of add stuff to it. We kind of want the best of both worlds, as it was. We want to please God. We want eternal relationship with him. But sometimes we kind of want the stuff the world offers too. We want to mix the two. And listen, we live in a world. And in the world, there's, we have stuff. God's provided. Things aren't bad. Success is not bad. These things, but those can never become the primary part of our life. We have to make God number one. And when those things come in our life, we can't hold between two opinions. We have to decide if God is God, we must follow him. Is there anything you've let kind of seep into your life? Anything that you've kind of added to your commitment to God and it's kind of created a lukewarmness in your relationship with him? If so, I would say, get rid of that. Follow God. Make him number one. That is what gives us purpose. That is what gives us value. That gives us the ability one day to stand before him and hear those words, well done, my good and faithful servant. Guys, thank you so much for joining us for the Daily Devo. I hope you'll continue tomorrow, and I hope you have a blessed day.